Where in life are we not showing enough courage? We've talked about courage in the podcast, but I want to season it with intention because something that's been sitting with me since Jeff's interview on Monday is this story of the elevator and realizing how often we don't go make our mark or we don't have the courage to say, you know what, I'm doing this. Now, as a family man, everything's more complicated. And Jeff was a free man at the time. He didn't have any roots tied down, and he was like, I'm going here, and I'm going to see how that's going to play out. Now, it may be too late for my life to go back into my 20s and do something like that. But what I can do is help my kids understand how it works for them in their 20s. Now, that's still a good 15 years away, but it's something that I've been thinking about quite often, to be honest, because trying to figure out how do I help my kids, not one, rubber band back to my basement, how do I help them figure out there's so much more to life than just these 1-2 lane roads that we get caught on. And I want them to really have the courage to be like, you know what? I don't want you to feel like you have to stay around here. I'm perfectly fine if you come back later on, like maybe you want to start a family around here, but I want you to explore the world. I want you to go off into the world and see who you can be. Now, for me, that was the Marine Corps. I stationed in Okinawa, lived there for 3 years, went to Korea 4 times, the Philippines, Australia. I got to see a wide view of the world. But my air was coming back directly to Wisconsin and just hunkering down right away. I didn't really take my newfound freedom and my newfound width and really see where I could go. It was almost, if I could go back, I didn't necessarily have the courage to like, you know what? Life isn't just over because I got out of the Marine Corps. This is really just the beginning, and I can still explore. I wish I would have paused and maybe took a year off from work. And I had the money. I could have done it, but I was all focused on getting back into the routine. And so circling it back to Jeff's interview, for me, when I was listening to that story, the courage that showed up to make his mark, to do what he wanted, and to know what he wanted, and then to do it despite what people might think, that has showed up in spades in his life. It allowed him to reach the heights within the corporate ladder that he did, to be as high in the C-suite offices as he was. It's because he called his shot, he knew where he wanted to go, and he had the courage to go out there and do it. So I'm not sure where this thought lands on you after listening to Jeff Wellen. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it from Monday. But this episode is something that you're probably going to hear more about because there's a lot of deep lessons within this episode from Jeff. So the homework for you today to think about is, where are you not showing up and maybe declaring yourself, this is what I want? Depending on whatever season of your life, that may be easy question to answer, maybe a hard question. But think of, where am I not just declaring and showing up what I want? Maybe it's still hard and you can't fully do it. Just knowing it and saying it is a pretty big step. So think about it. I'd love to hear your answers. Shoot me an email, ben@benkaloy.com. And I'm back again with you guys tomorrow.